Hey everyone, and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got a ton of huge news to share with all of you today. Today's date is October 22nd, 2025, and it's Wednesday. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and I hope you're all having a wonderful day so far. Real quick, before we jump into the news, I want to give you guys a few updates about me. Once again, I do apologize for my voice if it is very annoying to listen to. Unfortunately, I'm still sick right now and have been for like over a week now. The sickness has really been lingering. It's really affecting my voice. So thanks so much for your patience. And again, I do apologize if it's not the best to listen to. I also have a few other things I want to let you guys know. Today, there will only be one video from me, only one video update due to my son's birthday today. He actually just turned 9, so I'll be celebrating his birthday later today. So this will be the only video update coming out. Just want to give you guys a heads up on that. And then also, starting on November 6th, I'm going to be going out of town on a family trip. Just want to give you guys a heads up on that as well ahead of time. That's about 2 weeks from now, and I will be gone for roughly about a week from somewhere around November 6th to maybe the 12th or the 13th. I'll keep you guys updated on that as well, okay? So guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks again for all your patience. Really appreciate you being here. Let's talk about the news. So we're going to start out with reports out of Russia as overnight, Ukraine was launching a massive missile and drone attack across multiple Russian regions. We have several defense plants, power facilities, and an oil refinery that were struck. And we'll start off with this story here on your screen. Ukraine fires a large barrage of missiles, drones on Russian facilities. Ukrainian forces said late on Tuesday that they had targeted a chemical plant in Russia's southern Bryansk region in a large-scale attack using Franco-British Storm Shadow air-launched missiles. So yeah, we did talk about this briefly yesterday. I gave you guys an update talking about missiles going into Russia. All kinds of different missiles were apparently being used, also rocket drones as well. This was a picture coming out, I believe, from Ukraine, as we had what looks like some sort of cruise missile, or could have been possibly a rocket drone that Ukraine was firing onto a Russian position, I think down in Crimea. Lots of different areas being attacked. So we're going to talk more about this. I'll give you guys more details on what exactly was struck overnight. Also, Ukraine was under a massive Russian attack as well. Over 400 drones and close to 30 missiles were fired onto Ukrainian cities. We have reports of dead and wounded today across multiple regions. Very sad to report some of these even being young children. So very sad news, guys. Lots to cover. We have several other updates we'll be going over as well. Let's go ahead and just jump into the news. Let me start sharing these details here with you guys. We'll hop on over to X with Drone Bomber. It says approximate flight routes of our UAVs. Red arrow indicates directions of strike UAVs. Blue arrow indicates directions of jet-powered UAVs. Green arrow indicates directions of cruise missiles. All information about the routes is taken from Russian sources. So huge attack onto Russia's south or western side of the territory here close to Moscow. I think we had reports of explosions in the Moscow Oblast as well, but we'll kind of go over these different regions that I know of were attacked. So the Bryansk region right here where the bulk of all these missiles and drones were flying through. We have reports of a chemical plant, as was stated there on the main screen info for you guys when you guys came in here. A chemical plant being attacked allegedly by British Storm Shadow missiles. Also, we have reports of an electrical substation that came under attack here in the Bryansk Oblast as well. Also, right here in Smolensk, we have reports of a combined heating and power plant that came under attack as well. We know Ukraine is going after a lot of Russian power stations and thermal power plants, things like that, as Russia is doing the same thing inside of Ukraine. Also, up here in the Pskov, I think is how you pronounce it, and Leningrad Oblast. Okay, so up here, there's like a railway that ran from the Pskov region to St. Petersburg up here in the Leningrad region. Apparently, we had a military train that was derailed here in this area. That report came out yesterday afternoon, but we'll talk about it anyways. I did miss that information yesterday. Also, over here in the Republic of Mordovia, we have reports of a mechanical plant that came under attack by Ukrainian drones and was struck, producing equipment for Russia's military. And then down here in the Dagestan region, or Dagestan Republic, I think is what they call it, way down here in southwestern Russia, we had reports of an oil refinery in Makhachkala, if I'm saying that right, that came under attack as well by Ukraine. So lots of different strikes to report here. We went over this this kind of picture or diagram here yesterday showing these drones and missiles going into Russia, but it was a very huge attack, multiple targets being hit. Now, NOLA reports the general staff confirms strikes hit two key military industrial targets deep inside Russia, the Saransk mechanical plant in Mordovia, producer of anti-personnel mines, detonators, and mine-laying systems, was hit. In Dagestan, a strike targeted the Makhachkala oil refinery, damaging one of its processing units. So these were pictures coming out from the videos that were showing these strikes. This one here should be the mechanical plant in Mordovia in the city of Saransk. And then also we have the Makhachkala oil refinery located in Dagestan, okay, down in southwestern Russia. This is the video there, and I do have these videos to share with you guys here. We'll keep moving. Military News UA at night, kamikaze drones also attacked the Saransk mechanical plant in the city of Saransk, Mordovia. I've got a 12-second clip here. You're going to see an explosion right here in this area. Take a look.
Вон, туда, вон. Смотри, осколочно нахуй.
All right, so it looks like we had a direct hit on this Saransk mechanical plant. Still waiting for more details here. Huge explosion when that drone slammed into it. But there was reports again yesterday that we had a direct strike on this mechanical plant. We'll wait for more details, though, on the extent of the damage. Those details have not come out yet, but we can see a direct strike here in this video. Now, Special Kursan Cat, small Russian oil refinery in Dagestan with annual capacity of 1 million tons of oil, was hit by drones today, 1,000 kilometers from the front line. And yeah, what is being reported as well is what was hit was some sort of distillation or processing unit that took a direct hit from a Ukrainian drone. Take a look at this video.
Вот здесь. Вот.
4 беспилотника уже там. Один взорвался,
О!
он еще один.
Вот здесь.
All right, so we can see in this video, this drone just kind of flying in here and then directly slams into this unit right there. So I'm not sure exactly what that is. If you guys happen to know, have any information on what that was being targeted. Some people, again, were saying a distillation unit. Others were saying an oil processing unit. So again, not 100% sure there, but something very critical looks like it got hit directly by that Ukrainian drone. You can see towards the end right here too. See if we can stop it. There's another drone right there flying above the facility as well. So lots of drones were attacking down here in Dagestan. It says 1,000 kilometers from the front line. Military News UA now. Russian monitoring channels write that a number of their regions are under combined attack by cruise missiles, Flamingo, Storm Shadow Scalp, Neptune, Peklo missile drones, as well as HIMARS missiles. There's a threat even to the Moscow region. So just wanted to share this with you as there were so many different types of missiles, rocket drones, HIMARS rockets being used, their standard UAV drones as well that are propeller driven. Huge attack onto Russia overnight. And numerous different regions being targeted by missiles and drones. Now from N-Strike, in Russia's Bryansk region, another Russian substation was bombed by Ukrainian kamikaze drones. As a result, several settlements have been left without electricity. So here's video footage coming out from Bryansk showing allegedly some sort of electrical substation that took a direct hit. Could have been missiles or drones that was used here, but we know there was a huge missile and rocket drone attack through Bryansk. That's where we had the chemical plant that came under attack that was allegedly struck by Storm Shadow missiles that come from the British and from the French. So huge attack right here, major fire there, that electrical substation, most likely power outages there in that area. Now from Ukraine's General Staff on X, and it says on it, the 21st of October 2025, the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, in coordination with the Land Forces, the Navy, and other units of Defense Forces of Ukraine, struck the Bryansk chemical plant. Okay, so Ukraine's General Staff is confirming this strike on this chemical plant. Unfortunately, though, guys, I do apologize. There is no video footage coming out showing the confirmation of this, but Ukraine's General Staff is confirming the strike, but I do have a few details to share with you. Max 25. Looks like we had a Russian Telegram channel here. It says North Channel. Not a disaster, but then it's very close to it at one plant in the Bryansk region. Area of responsibility of the Northern Guard. Subscribers are reporting that something very unpleasant is currently happening in Seltso at the Bryansk chemical plant. So apparently a lot of Russian Telegram channels were kind of panicking that there was some sort of massive attack over here. I wouldn't be surprised it was like upwards of 6 to 8, maybe 10 Storm Shadow missiles that were fired onto this facility. It's a pretty large chemical plant, and they produce a lot of different explosives and explosive material for weapons for the Russian military. So we're hearing it was apparently pretty bad, but again, right now, no pictures or videos coming out. I tried my best to research that, couldn't find anything confirming the strike here, but here's some more information OSINT into it. There's lots of reliable information that the Bryansk chemical plant, named after the 50th anniversary of the USSR, plant is completely destroyed after Storm Shadow scalp strike. It specializes in production of industrial explosives and the disposal of ammunition. So this is apparently the facility here. It's got two areas, this large area, this smaller area. I was hearing as well there could have been some sort of weapons storage facility, like a Grau arsenal that could have been attacked as well. I'm not sure if that's what this is right here, because we have seen Ukraine strike some Grau arsenals in the past that store all kinds of different missiles and sometimes drones, different types of weapons that Russia uses. That could have been attacked right here as well. I'm not sure if that's a Grau arsenal. It kind of looks like one to me, based on some others that Ukraine has attacked in the past. But this is the large bulk of the facility here, and apparently came under a massive attack, and we could have had huge explosions over here. But it's interesting, no videos or pictures coming out from this attack, but Ukraine General Staff is confirming this. Maybe we'll have some information that comes out later, but this kind of like an overview aerial shot of the facility that came under attack last night by British Storm Shadow missiles fired by Ukraine. And we also had reports yesterday that right before this missile attack was taking place, there was somewhere around 11 Ukrainian jets in the skies over northern Ukraine that were firing these missiles. So it was a huge attack onto Russia, probably one of the first times we've seen this big of a missile attack using lots of different aircraft. Now, Special Kursan Cat, Russian thermal power plant in Smolensk is on fire. So here's the combined heating and power plant that came under attack. Looks like it got a direct hit here, most likely from a Ukrainian missile that directly struck here. Could have also been a rocket drone, but we did have a fire that broke out on a combined heating and power plant located in the Smolensk Oblast, just north of Russia's Bryansk region. So we'll still wait for more details on that, but looks like some damage was caused here. And again, the reason why Ukraine is going after power facilities inside of Russia is because this is exactly what Russia is doing to Ukraine right now. They're absolutely destroying Ukraine's gas and energy facilities across their nation. So Ukraine is trying to respond with retaliation, doing the same thing back to Russia is what we're seeing. Now, military news UA, the important railway line at Pskov to St. Petersburg, which provided the logistical needs of Russian troops, was blown up in Russia, according to Military. So yeah, again, this information is a little bit late, probably about 24 hours ago is when this took place. But apparently we had another train derailment over in the Pskov to Leningrad regions. This actually was reported just about maybe 2 to 3 weeks ago, I want to say. If you guys remember this, I talked about this, that we'd be seeing more train derailments in these areas, especially hearing that the Belarusians are actually helping out Russia right now, trying to transport oil and fuel, especially fuel, into Russia right now due to all these strikes on these oil refineries. They're trying to bail Russia out. So I told you guys we'd probably see more of this in these areas, and now we just saw another one of these train derailments in the same area that we just reported just a couple weeks back. So somewhere around the Pskov to Leningrad regions up in St. Petersburg, somewhere over there we had another train derailment packed with military cargo is what was being reported. Now, war translated, at night, Russia carried out a massive strike on Ukraine. Zaporizhia, Poltava region, and Odessa region came under attack. Residential buildings were hit, facilities of the oil and gas industry, as well as port and energy infrastructure were damaged. They're injured and dead. Yeah, this was a massive attack onto Ukraine last night, and this is typically what we see right towards the end of the week. Usually somewhere between Wednesday and Friday, we start to see a large attack onto Ukraine. You can see a lot of these missiles were heading for Kiev as well. We heard reports that a thermal power plant came under attack in Kiev. Also, lots of people being injured in different areas. Poltava being heavily hit here as well. We know a lot of gas storage facilities are up here in this area. Also, Dnipro came under heavy attack. Zaporizhia, lots of reports of injuries down here in this area. Very sad, guys. Numerous people lost their lives last night. Dozens being injured in these attacks. Very crazy. I've got a lot of information here. So now from next, Zelensky reports 6 killed in Russia's overnight attack. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that 6 people, including 2 children, were killed and 17 others injured in Russia's overnight strike. These numbers may climb as time goes on. It says, quote, another night proving that Russia is not under enough pressure to stop prolonging this war. All night and morning, our air defense forces, mobile fire units, and drone interceptor crews were at work. Ordinary cities were hit, mostly our energy facilities, but there are also many strikes on residential buildings, Zelensky said. He added that fires broke out in Zaporizhia, while Kiev and several other regions suffered direct hits on residential buildings. The regions affected include Kiev, Odessa, Cherniv, Dnipropetrovsk, Kirovohrad, Poltava, Vinnytsia, Zaporizhia, Cherkasy, and Sumy. Here's pictures coming out from Ukraine overnight showing rescue crews trying to get to people that were trapped in buildings that were being hit. Looks like we had a Russian drone slamming into another residential high-rise building here, most likely inside of Kiev. Had people's homes being destroyed. Looks like some sheds here also that were knocked out. And also more fires here that were caused, and firefighters having to show up on the scene to put out these blazes. So this looks like it might be some sort of electrical facility. That kind of looks like maybe a transformer there and some electrical equipment. You guys can let me know what you think, but huge attacks across Ukraine overnight. All right, now from Jay in Kiev, murdered by Russians this morning in Kiev. Antonina, a mother, Adelina, 6 months old, and Anastasia, 12 years old. Very sad news, guys. Look at the people that lost their lives overnight. Unfortunately, very young kids as well. Even a 6-month-old baby named Adelina losing their lives in these strikes overnight. Here's another picture showing a huge fire in an area that came under attack from most likely Russian drones. So I hate having to report this to you guys. It's extremely sad to report, but I want you guys to be aware of what is happening over here. Lots of innocent people still continuing to lose their lives. This is exactly what I mentioned yesterday. That's what we're going to see. We're going to start seeing more attacks inside of Ukraine. This war is going to continue. More people are going to lose their lives because we are not seeing any pursuing towards peace right now because Russia clearly is not ready for peace. They have made that very clear to the world. Now status 6. A fire broke out at a thermal power plant in the capital of Ukraine, Kiev, following Russia's strikes with ballistic missiles tonight. Yeah, so lots of reports of a thermal power plant being hammered by ballistic missiles. A lot of these were not shot down. Huge fire that broke out there. You can see from the distance and up close. That's major fire here at this thermal power plant. So again, Russia's been slamming Ukraine's energy grid at multiple different power plants, energy substations, lots of different power outages being reported all the time. We know that Russia's really trying to put Ukraine into the dark and also force people to freeze during the winter. Ukraine's been calling for help from European leaders to really help out, provide assistance. I think it was either Norway or Sweden, something like that. Some other nation was actually giving up about 150 million euros today to help out with energy and gas facilities inside of Ukraine due to destruction. So hopefully they can get a lot of these facilities repaired, but right now they're really being destroyed by Russian drones and missiles. Here's more information now. Max 25, Kiev and Zaporizhia. Here's a huge fire that broke out in Kiev. I do apologize. Can't really see exactly what it is, but there was reports of huge fires across the capital again today. And also, here's another picture of a high-rise building that took a direct hit here. Looks like right in the middle of these two buildings. And we had a huge fire that broke out there as well. Hopefully everybody was okay there, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody got injured in that strike. Now Anton Yushchenko. Kharkiv under Russian attack. A daycare hit. There are injured children. 40 years old man killed. 5 more injured. Okay, so up in the city of Kharkiv during the day, there was a huge attack. I think that just happened earlier this morning, actually. And we had reports of a daycare being directly slammed by Russian drones, and lots of people were having to evacuate these children. It was actually occupied at the time that it came under attack. So this video is very loud. I do apologize. Going to be lots of car alarms going off here and horns, but about 10 seconds. Take a look. All right, so there is more video footage out online. Some of it is very graphic as well, so I'm not going to show everything here, but you can see these different fires that broke out in this district of Kharkiv. Huge damage to this building right here. Looks like a drone slammed directly on the top of that. And again, reports that a daycare directly being hit. Lots of young children having to be evacuated as they were there while their parents were at work. So very sad, guys. Now, Ukrainian Review, number of injured in Kharkiv has risen to 9, the state emergency service reported. The strike also damaged a shop, a cafe, an office building, and 6 cars. 3 fires broke out, the largest in a kindergarten with an area of 500 square meters. At the time of the attack, 48 children were in the shelter who were quickly evacuated. Can you believe that? 48 children inside of that building, that daycare that came under attack. Look at this huge hole right here in the side of this building. Absolutely insane what's happening over here. Kharkiv is a city that comes under attack quite frequently from Russian drones and missiles. Here's more damage to the inside of what could be this daycare as well. Looks like some kids' chairs right there. So this is probably the daycare, I'm assuming, right here. Very sad news. Now, Astra, the aftermath of Russia's overnight attack on Zaporizhia, 1 person was injured, according to local authorities. Update, the number of injured in Zaporizhia has risen to 5, according to the head of the regional military administration. Here's new pictures coming out from Zaporizhia down in southern Ukraine. This area got hit very hard as well, and usually does. High-rise buildings again being slammed by Russian drones, fires breaking out, people losing their homes, and here's more damage as well. Looks like this car got some damage here also after this Russian drone attack. So Zaporizhia got hammered last night by drones and maybe missiles as well. Now, Bliskovka, Russia has attacked DTEK's energy facility in Odessa region again. Some people were left without electricity, but the power company has already restored it to 14,200 families. The damage is significant, so repairs will take some time. So you see what I mean? Lots of reports of attacks on energy facilities, DTEK being one of the largest energy companies inside of Ukraine. They constantly report the Russians are striking their facilities and destroying them, this time down here in the Odessa region. This would be in southern Ukraine, and we have had a lot of reports of energy sites being attacked in the Odessa region in the recent past over the last few months. So it is continuing on to Ukraine. This is why we see Ukraine striking thermal power plants and electrical facilities inside of Russia. Now for next up, Putin is taunting Trump. Looks like the Kremlin is begging for tomahawks. Russia has carried out large-scale strategic nuclear force drills involving all components of its nuclear triad, land, sea, and air. An intercontinental ballistic missile Yars was launched from the Plesetsk Cosmodrome toward the Kura test range in Kamchatka, not far from the U.S. border. Putin personally observed the launch. The exercises took place amid growing tensions with Washington and the collapse of preparations of the planned Trump-Putin summit. So this is big news as well today. Russia carrying out nuclear exercises, firing a Yars intercontinental ballistic missile, or an ICBM. And we know that the reason why they're doing this is because of the collapse of the talks yesterday. And could this mean that Trump is going to arm Ukraine with these Tomahawk missiles? And the Russians keep warning that, if Ukraine fires these into Russia, this is the United States doing this, not necessarily Ukraine. And these are also nuclear capable missiles. They could carry nuclear warheads on them. So Russia's warning about that. I think that's what this message is directly to Trump, warning him not to give these missiles over to Ukraine, as we could see that now that these talks have collapsed between Trump and Putin. I got a 1-minute video here from the TASS news agency. This is state news out of Russia. Take a look. All right, so we can see Russia here carrying out multiple tests of nuclear capable weapons, land, sea, and air. And let me know what you think. Do you think this is a direct threat to U.S. President Donald Trump? Because we could see some action coming from the U.S. now. Are they going to arm Ukraine to the teeth with long-range missiles to start striking targets inside Russia. We're still not really sure yet. Trump has been very quiet. The most he said yesterday to reporters was that he doesn't want to have a meeting set up that's going to be a waste of time. That's really all he said so far, as we're hearing that this summit between Trump and Putin allegedly has been canceled. But I do have some information that maybe it is going to happen here in the future. We'll have to see. But as of right now, it looks like it's not going to. Then check this out, Max 25. North Korea fired multiple short-range ballistic missiles from south of Pyongyang around 8:10 a.m. Local time, flying about 350 kilometers toward the east coast. Okay, so interesting, right? Because Russia's carrying out these nuclear exercises, and also we have the North Koreans firing some ballistic missiles of their own, firing them towards the east coast, about 350 kilometers. So what's going on here? Is this kind of some sort of coordination between North Korea and Russia? I thought it was interesting that at the same time Russia's doing these nuclear exercises, we have the North Koreans firing ballistic missiles as well. And that was South Korea confirming that today, that the North Koreans were firing some ballistic missiles. So very interesting. All right, now from Vaytuk's network, President Vladimir Zelensky says that Russia became immediately less interested in diplomacy upon Trump's refusal to supply Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles, according to Reuters. Now, that's an interesting story that's being reported today. So, Zelensky has stated recently that Russia only understands pressure. That when Ukraine starts to, get reports of receiving some missiles that could start striking inside of Russia, that's when all of a sudden Russia is ready for diplomacy. If you guys remember that, that's when Putin called Trump last week, just before Zelensky was going to the White House, and he spoke to him a day before and was like, "Hey, let's start some dialogue again. Let's go have a summit." And then all of a sudden, the next day, Trump tells Zelensky, "Hey, you're not getting Tomahawks." Then just a few days later, starting what was Monday or Tuesday of this week, now we're hearing that the summit is not going to be held. Okay, that all of a sudden, now that we're hearing that Trump's not giving these missiles over to Ukraine, we're starting to hear that Putin is no longer interested in diplomacy. So Zelensky's got a point there that, yeah, Russia only understands pressure and force. The minute that they start to hear that, that's when they're ready to start talking. So this is why Ukraine needs these missiles. They need these types of things to force Russia to the table, whether they fire them onto Russia or not. Just having the capability could possibly force Russia to the negotiating table. Thought that was a very interesting story, and I do have to agree with that. Now, NOAA reports aftermath footage from the 17th of October strikes on the Eitan oil depot near Vardiske in occupied Crimea shows at least 5 fuel tanks destroyed by Ukrainian drones. Here's new satellite images showing destruction to multiple oil storage tanks at this oil depot that we talked about over the last week. It actually came under attack twice, I believe. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 right here were destroyed. A couple of these could have been damaged also. But for sure, at least five oil storage tanks, were attacked and completely blown up here at this oil depot that came under attack in Crimea 2 times over the last week. All right, now from NOAA reports. 2 major oil refineries tied to Russian crude exploded within 24 hours in Eastern Europe. In Hungary, a blast hit the MOL refinery supplied via the Druzhba pipeline. In Romania, the Lukoil-owned Petrotel plant, 2.5 million tons per year, also suffered an explosion. So we did talk about this yesterday. The MOL refinery located inside of Hungary suffered some sort of massive explosion. I think there was a major processing unit that caught fire over there. Apparently, also, this happened inside of Romania. This information didn't come out right away when I reported this to you guys. But apparently inside of Romania, which is going to be a NATO nation, they had a Lukoil-owned Petrotel plant that also suffered an explosion. This could have been a picture coming out from that area. So I thought that was interesting. What are these explosions coming from? Is this Ukrainian saboteurs doing this? We don't really know what's happening yet. So far, Hungary hasn't even come out and accused Ukraine of anything. But yeah, very strange that 2 oil refineries located inside of Hungary and Romania also exploding yesterday randomly. So I'll wait for more information on that. If we get details, I'll let you guys know. Now, Vicegrad 24, Vilnius Airport closed down after dozens of balloons from Belarus appear in its airspace. 30 flights diverted or canceled, 4,000 passengers affected. What's going on in Lithuania, man? There's been actually multiple reports over the last week of some sort of balloons over their airspace, shutting down airports inside of Vilnius. Apparently, these are coming from Belarus. That's what we're hearing. And are these actual balloons? Are these drones? We're not really sure, but it's being reported as some sort of balloons. And there is information that the Belarusians try to smuggle cigarettes using balloons and sometimes small drones into Lithuania. So I'm going to continue to follow this story, but yeah, we're hearing more reports of balloons that are causing airspace violations and also airports to be shutting down due to these balloons entering into Lithuania, allegedly from Belarus. That's going to be right here in this area where that's taking place. Very interesting. Now, next, the U.S. Senate prepares new blows against Russia. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee is set to approve 3 bills today aimed at increasing pressure on Moscow, Axios reports. The first designates Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism over the abduction of Ukrainian children. The second imposes sanctions on China for supporting Russia. The third allows the U.S. to transfer frozen Russian assets to Ukraine every 90 days. The initiatives were introduced by Senators Lindsey Graham, Richard Blumenthal, Amy Klobuchar, and Katie Britt. Meanwhile, the Senate has postponed consideration of a separate bill to toughen sanctions against Russia until after the Trump-Putin meeting. All right, so this is big news. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee, they're going to be approving 3 different bills that we just talked about here that will put pressure onto Russia. Now, we did hear yesterday from Andriy Yermak. That is the head of the presidential office out of Ukraine. He works right under Volodymyr Zelensky. He was claiming yesterday on X that huge sanctions or pressure is going to be applied onto Russia here very soon. And now we're hearing this report coming out. So I'm thinking this is probably one of the big moves that the U.S. is going to be making. And then also starting tomorrow, we're going to be hearing 2 major things as well. Possibly a new 19th package of sanctions coming from the EU onto Russia, and then also a potential vote on up to 140 billion euros of frozen Russian assets that could be sent over to Ukraine. So Russia's going to be taking some huge blows here very soon economically, and also these assets possibly being given directly to Ukraine to fund the purchase of lots of weapons to strengthen their military and their nation. So very big news here. Now, Vice Grad 24, preparations for the Trump-Putin meeting in Budapest are underway. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban said that preparations for a Trump-Putin summit in Budapest are indeed continuing, though the date of the summit has not yet been set. There are no significant obstacles to the meeting between Putin and Trump. Preparations are ongoing, stated Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rybkov. Earlier, Reuters reported, citing sources, that Moscow had sent a communique to Washington, reiterating its demand to gain full control over the Donbass region as a condition for a peace deal with Ukraine. So apparently some information coming out from the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban. He's saying that the preparations are still ongoing right now. Apparently also Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rybkov is confirming that as well. So it's interesting because the Trump administration canceled their meeting with Putin. So what's going on here? Are they going to hold a meeting? Are they not going to? Apparently preparations are still ongoing behind the scenes. But as far as we know, there is no confirmed meeting between Putin and Trump. But we'll wait for more details on that. Now, Bliskovka, Ukraine and Sweden have signed a memorandum of intent to purchase around 100 to 150 state-of-the-art Gripen fighter jets for the armed forces of Ukraine. It's not about immediate deliveries, but rather long-term cooperation. This will allow Ukraine to build very strong air forces. It's the beginning of a long journey of 10 to 15 years, said Swedish Prime Minister Kristersson. Okay, this is big news. So Ukraine wants to buy around 100 to 150 Gripen fighter jets. These will be very good for Ukraine, but don't get too excited. I think it's going to take a long time before Ukraine starts receiving these. We have been hearing that Ukraine wanted to start purchasing a few of these, and Sweden might give a few up to Ukraine. Apparently that was confirmed to not be true, that they weren't going to be receiving them anytime soon, but who really knows here? They could be receiving a few, later down the road. But right now, as far as we know, Ukraine will not be getting any. It will take years before they actually receive the bulk of these 100 to 150 of these Gripen fighter jets from Sweden. But nonetheless, great news for Ukraine. That will definitely strengthen their air force. Now, Maria Drutska. Totally not a Russian economic collapse warning sign. The Russian finance minister was warned that hundreds of thousands of businesses may close due to proposed 2026 tax increases to fund the Russian war machine. At this point, they may go past the 1990s and back to the 1890s. Here's a report. The government has been warned of a tsunami of bankruptcies due to tax increases. Okay, so Interesting story here also coming out from Russia. Now, we do know that Russia's economy is very strained right now. We know that the government is thinking about increasing taxes on the citizens, and also apparently they want to increase taxes on small businesses. So think about the pressure onto Russia right now. Their oil and gas industry is being wiped out. A lot of their funds that normally come into their nation are being destroyed. And then on top of that, they're having to increase taxes on citizens who are already not buying a whole lot of stuff. We hear reports of lots of different, automotive plants, for example, that are cutting work weeks down to like 4 or even 3 days. A lot of people are being furloughed and being sent home. They're not working no more. Many people are not buying things inside of Russia. So, how are they going to get all this money out of their citizens when their citizens are clearly broke? Okay. If they're not buying a whole lot of stuff inside of Russia, that's a very big indicator that people don't have money or they're afraid to spend their money because of what's going on right now, right? So, Russia is definitely in a very tense situation economically. It's not looking good for them and it continues to get worse. And we see a lot of different reports coming out like this every single day. Now, from Ukrainian Air Force, on the night of October 22nd, Russia launched a massive air attack targeting Ukraine's critical infrastructure. The aggressor used 405 Shahed type strike UAVs, 11 Iskander M KN-23 ballistic missiles, 9 Iskander K cruise missiles, 4 KH-59 or 69 guided air-to-surface missiles, and 4 KH-47 M2 Kinzhal aeroballistic missiles. Main direction of the attack was in the Kiev region. Zaporizhia, Cherniv, Dnipro, Cherkasy, Odessa regions were also affected. Unfortunately, there are casualties and injuries. Ukrainian air defenders shot down 333 enemy UAVs, 8 Iskander K cruise missiles, 6 Iskander M KN-23 ballistic missiles, 2 KH-59-69 guided air-to-surface missiles. So very good to see they shot down a good amount of these missiles, and actually they shot down some ballistic missiles, which typically we don't see that out of Ukraine. But here's a report, guys. Lots of munitions being destroyed here, 349 out of 433. But nonetheless, we did have some strikes, and unfortunately, lots of people losing their lives and being injured in these attacks overnight. So there's the amount of drones and missiles that went into Ukraine. Now, Kyiv Independent, these are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of October 22nd, according to the Armed Forces of Ukraine. In our final update, Russia's losses as of October 22nd, 1,050 troops, 11 AFVs, 96 vehicles and fuel tanks, 2 tanks, 12 artillery systems, 160 UAVs, and 1 special equipment. Okay, so finally, something over here again, 1 special equipment being destroyed overnight. 12 artillery systems, very low today. We've been seeing about 30 or 40 on average here recently. 2 tanks and 11 AFVs. So armored fighting vehicles, they've been losing a lot of these. I think yesterday that number was up to like 37. Pretty crazy. Only 2 tanks today. I think yesterday was like 5. 96 vehicles and fuel tanks being destroyed, about average numbers here. And then troop numbers still up over 1,000 and have been for the last probably 3 to 4 days now. We've been seeing that. Troop numbers are starting to climb again as we start to approach into the fall. So, guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in for today's update on October 22nd, 2025. And just another quick reminder again, this will be my only video update today when it comes to news, but I'll be back tomorrow with more updates for you guys. And then again, also starting on November 6th, I will be going out of town. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. I'll put out some community posts as well with more information to share that with all of you. Hope you guys all have a great day out there. Let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.